Hey everyone, Nick Roop here with Barry Krevoy, bringing you another episode of the Veterans Wealth Network. Today we have the pleasure of hearing from two special guests, Matt and Tami of Newport Sea Salt Company. Very excited to hear their journey and how they started and took their service and turned it into success.
With that said, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell. Let's get started. I like that intro music. What's up, man? Tami?
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Barry. Hi, Nick.
How's it going?
Great to see you.
Great to see you as well. Matt, Tami, I want to be mindful, just get off to a fast start here. You have such an incredible story. I'd love to just dive right into that. Do you mind just starting, though, just an overview? How did the Newport Sea Salt Company, how did that come to be?
Well, we've been operating our small business here in Newport for 5 years as Newport Sea Salt Company. But I'd like to say the seeds of the whole idea probably started one of my last duty stations while I was stationed with NATO over in Naples, Italy. We were there for 3 years, the entire family. We moved over. I worked for NATO for 3 years. And while we were there, as you can imagine, it's not too hard to fall into the food culture. Eat what's local, eat what's fresh, eat what's in season. The food there is delicious. This is not a surprise. But one of the things we kind of picked up on that we hadn't previously was using local sea salt and the deliciousness that it can create, how it can create, elevate the flavor of food so simply with just like olive oil, sea salt on a tomato, just some bread, grilled fish, anything, you name it. It wasn't to make it salty, it was just to enhance the flavor. So unfortunately, our 3 years finished in Naples, and
we could have stayed longer.
We wish we could have. But when we returned to Newport, I finished up my career at the Naval War College here. We were trying to source things like we did in Italy, we went to the farmers markets for the local produce and tomatoes and things like that. But one of the things we were surprised we couldn't find was local salt. We knew we weren't going to find local olive oil, that sort of thing is not produced here. But local salt, after all, Rhode Island is the ocean state, and we just couldn't find it. So we were like, I wonder why what's the story here? I wonder why we can't find local salt in Rhode Island. And it just turned out nobody was just making it. It's one of the most simplest things, most basic part of any dish, and people weren't doing it. I want to say we saw a segment on a food channel network. I think it was a Food Network, and they visited a small sea salt company, which kind of like we have now. But when we saw this segment, we were like, hey, look at this guy's making salt, just getting water from the ocean. And
a little bell went off, and we're like, oh, maybe we should try this.
Yeah, maybe this guy's up. So we literally, started out kind of like a science experiment. Yeah. Me and our two sons went out to the ocean, a certain spot where it's not too rough, but it was just really beautiful. And so we got a bucket of water. We brought it home. It was in the wintertime, so we were just home watching football all day and simmering some water on a stove. And then later that evening, we're like, look at this. We got salt coming in our pan here. And
we started to share it.
We shared it with some neighbors and friends, and they were like, this salt, this is different. This is definitely, not like table salt or this is something, you guys are onto something. So
keep going.
Yeah, keep going. So that's how it all got started. That was like our initial light bulb idea, and that's the kind of background behind it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And now, when was this the light bulb? When did that go off? What year was that?
That was in late 2016, early 2017. time frame. Yeah, it was that winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Matt was approaching retirement at the time.
I was about 9 months out from retirement, still had no plan yet. Wasn't really set on doing any specific thing. I had some ideas, but then this sort of like I said, this sort of light bulb went off and we started pursuing it, and it just started gaining momentum after talking to some people, some advisors and things like that. Between the small business administration, we did a class with the Boots to Business.
Fleet and Family Support Center.
Yeah, one of the Fleet and Family Support Center programs is called Boots to Business. So we took it kind of like we did. I know how to drive naval vessels. I am not a small business owner, nor am I a trained salt maker. But we were willing to give it a try. And
they
learn.
gave us the foundation, all those classes and resources, and helped us make the connections to keep going.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up too, because that's such an interesting thing. Barry, I know you can attest to this a bit too. When I was going through a transition out of the military, I may have shared this with you before. I was a supply guy, right? And I remember typing in my NMLS, and it spits out what I could do when I was done. And I went from navigating and managing the reverse supply chain of everything out of Afghanistan for the Marine Corps to it telling me that I could then be a stock boy at Lowe's. Right? And so I think it's significant there. I don't want to just gloss over it. You didn't have a background, to your point. You weren't a chef. You weren't a scientist by trade, right? Or a business owner. But you took a skill set that it seemed like you were able to translate that from the military service into being a business owner. So you mind expanding on that? Like, what are some skills you took away? You find yourself.
I say probably the biggest thing is having the curiosity and the drive to learn something new. And as far as like the military skill sets, it's sort of the research, planning, communicating with others. We kind of went into this without really knowing how to do it, but we didn't go into it without, like I said, talking to some advisors, the SBA, going to Boost the Business, doing my own research as much as I could read, and find, various YouTube videos on other salt makers around the world. Just really delving into the whole craft of salt making. It's an ancient craft. Not a lot of people do it now, but back in ancient times, obviously before refrigeration, we relied as humans for salt, whether it was for preserving our food so we could survive through winters, or and just our bodies require a certain amount of salt just for proper cellular function. Gatorade and electrolytes are salt, so we are required to have salt. But just like anything, moderation is the key.
So it's with the curiosity.
Yeah, I guess it was the curiosity and just willingness to learn something totally new, which has been kind of exciting. It's been fun, working with chefs, restaurants that use our salt, and we also really like our weekly farmers markets where we get to interact face to face with customers, and it's a whole education. Oh wow, some people. You get the salt from the ocean, and I didn't know you can make it, and how do you make it, and why do you do it, and what makes this different from other salts, and on and on and on. I know we have a short program here.
That's fantastic. And now, so hearing where you started, Tami, do you mind expanding just a little bit? Where are you today? Like, what does business look like for you now? How are you getting it out? What are your typical clients? How are you serving them?
Well, that's a good question. It's now about 5 years in.
Yeah.
And we've taken just the curiosity and just kept pushing forward and evolving our business. So we're at several different farmers markets where it took us a pandemic to learn e-commerce and just networking with our local resources and our community that has really just organically propelled our business. I mean, we don't, we market ourselves locally, like just by social media and such, but it really has been word of mouth about our product. So it's been I think the most important part was just for us was this engagement and with our community. So it's been really fantastic.
And one of the advantages we have here in Newport is we have a lot of visitors every year that come to Newport. They'll find our sea salt at one of the local shops, or they'll visit one of the farmers markets here in Newport while they're staying, and then they'll go back to wherever, Colorado or California, and say, "Hey, I remember those sea salt people we met," and they'll find us on social media or hit us up on, we'll start ordering it on our website. So.
We just had a customer today that ordered online, and they're military and they're retiring soon. And so, in the shipping package, I wrote, congratulations on your, upcoming retirement. And so it's these relationships that we're building, and a community ourselves. So
that sounds very special.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I also, I got to tell you, one of the things that I'm just listening to you, and I'm probably older than all three of you guys put together. And I growing up, it was Morton salt. Nobody bought, sea salt, or, it was just salt. But and I wonder whether or not, because you guys did live abroad, in Europe, I wonder if, I see America switching to, finer ingredients. We're wanting grass-fed beef. We're wanting, really organic foods, sea salt. Do you think that this is something that is new to the United States, or is this something that was kind of global, or have they always been that way about finer ingredients in other countries like in France or Italy, or? What's your experience there?
So some of these other countries, they just have a longer experience of making the salt, just because the countries have been around longer. But you really hit it right there, where it is, there is an appreciation for a crafted salt vice a mass-produced salt, just like anything. Olive oil or wine. You're not going to buy. You can use olive oil from one of these big box stores, but if you want really good olive oil, you got to find that little olive oil company up in hills over Sorrento or something like that. Just like a good wine. You can drink boxed wine, but if you want a nice Brunello from Italy, what I'm saying, there's different.
You mean Franzi is not the go-to, Matt?
What's that?
You mean Franzi is not the go-to?
No. So, we work with some chefs who will have a variety of sea salts from around the world, and they'll pair the various salts with whatever dish they're preparing based on trying to enhance, a texture or a color or a flavor. Because the one thing that makes, one thing people don't realize, I don't think, is not all salt is the same, unless you're talking table or kosher salt, which is mass produced, just processed. Handcrafted small batch sea salt can vary in color, texture, and flavor based on the location it comes from, because it's the trace minerals from that location that give it its distinctive flavor. Just like I was saying, wine, not all wine tastes the same. You get certain varieties of grapes, and the soils from the climates from that area really influence the flavor. Oysters from one side of the bay to another can really be different. So there really is an
education.
Yeah, So sea salt definitely plays a part into that higher level, taste when it comes to food. And people forget that salt, is probably one of the most important but most overlooked parts of a good dish.
Makes absolute sense.
I keep telling my wife that too, for crying out loud. She won't let me have as much as I want, but
a little goes a long way.
A little goes a long way, and moderation is the key.
Yeah. So I'm going to be ordering some from the Newport Sea Salt Company, so I can just tell her, look, I got to support. These guys are my friends. I have to put some salt on my eggs, honey.
Just a touch. Yeah. Just a pinch is all you need to enhance the flavor. I'm telling
you. Local handcrafted. Yeah.
There you go. Well, Matt, one of the things I was curious of, so you're 5 years in now. Yeah. What are some things you wish you would have known when you were just getting started with the business?
Such a good question.
It's a really good question. I think We're at a point right now in our business where the facility, the shared kitchen we use, we rent a kitchen space at a commercial kitchen space, and we've kind of gotten to the point where our demand is such that our 1 day a week at the commercial kitchen is clearly not enough. And that's one of the reasons why Tami is saying we only market locally, like just with social media, word of mouth, because we don't want to advertise because we just don't have enough product.
Yeah.
So one of the things I wish I realized going into it before was, okay, well, one thing we were like, let's just try this out and see if it works. And yes, it clearly works. There is a demand for it. But I wish I knew a little bit more about like how to get to that next level.
Yeah.
How do I go from this experiment, this trial at a commercial kitchen to like having our own space? The financing, the ins and outs of the retail, retail and the real estate, and there's still a sharp learning curve, and we're still on that curve.
Well, Marcus Lemonis, if you're watching this right now, you guys ever watched The Prophet?
No.
Oh, I've heard of it, but not really. Yeah.
He's a billionaire who helps out really promising businesses that are having trouble or having trouble growing. So I doubt if he's watching this, but I just thought I'd mention it.
Yeah, right. Hi, Marcus. Yeah, we need help.
Yeah, right. You never know. Well, guys, the other thing that Nick just mentioned that some of the things that you wish you would have known, like one of the things that keeps coming up in my head is like I can't see a knucklehead like myself going and grabbing some salt water and then trying to make some sea salt. Like,
yeah.
Do you have to like filter out the water? Do you have to,
Sure.
I mean, salt is in itself like kills germs, right? So
yeah,
how does that work?
So yeah, there's definitely a process. We didn't just willy-nilly go down to the beach and get our water or anything like that. We worked out a plan with the Department of Environmental Management here in Rhode Island, the Rhode Island Department of Health, where we're going to source our water, what was the process going to be, where we're going to make the salt. And I can get really into that whole thing, but to kind of cut it short is like, we've decided where we source the water from. It's open ocean. It's not like out of the harbor. We have some rules we've kind of instituted ourselves that the Department of Health have kind of signed off on. We don't source our water after rainstorms or low tide, things. So we're always kind of like monitoring the weather, winds, and tides. And I think that's where sort of my navigator hat comes on when I was in the Navy. We're always monitoring that, looking for a good window of opportunity, I call it, to go source our water. We'll get the water. We run it through basically like 3-stage filter down to 10 microns, and then we take it to the kitchen where it is boiled. And then during the boiling phase, if there's any bacteria in it, that's all killed out. And then you're saying, the salt itself is a preservative, so you're not gonna have any bad bugs growing in the salt, because I mean it just doesn't happen. So. Sure. We take some internal precautions with it all, but it works.
So Matt, I can tell you. Go ahead, Barry.
No, go ahead, Nick.
I was going to say, being in Vermont, I can tell you how many gallons of syrup you need of tree sap to get down to a gallon of actual syrup. What does that look like for sea salt? How many gallons of water do you go through in order to get the finished product?
So yeah, it's funny. We were just talking to some middle schoolers this morning about it, and they just went through a maple syrup program in their science class. 40 to 1, if I'm not correct.
40 to 1, that's it.
40 to 1, yeah. So
we learned something too.
So 40 to 1. So I understand. And so you're right. You hit it. It's very similar where we have to boil down the water, reducing the volume. Whereas syrup is liquid to liquid, you're talking the ratio, but we're talking with the sea salt, it's a liquid to solid kind of ratio. Yeah. So what we do like to say is, I've come up with the kind of number is, for every gallon of ocean water, we can make roughly 3.5 ounces of sea salt on average. So a 5-gallon bucket will get around a pound of sea salt on average. So, yeah.
Would you guys have, if you would have known what you were up against, Do you think that you would have gone down this path, or did you invest so much time and energy that you just went, you know what, we've gone way too far to give up right now? Do you think that if you did have a crystal ball when you got started, that you would have started down this path?
Yeah, I think so, because I enjoy working for ourselves and not having to
answer to anyone but me. Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
We all know who wears the pants.
Yeah.
So no, we really enjoy. We kind of make up our own schedule. We really enjoy that. We pick and choose what markets and what stores we want to be in, and who we want to deal with. So people who just don't want to deal with, we just don't deal with them. We don't have to.
Yeah, for 20 years of you being told where to go,
so it is kind of,
but he has his own flexibility.
And I think like I was saying, like if we could learn how to get to that next step, like having our own place, I really think that we could really take off here. We don't, like I said, we don't advertise. So, I think, and Tammy's got we have kind of a little offshoot business with the sea salt at our farmers markets. Tammy does these homemade chocolate chip cookies topped with our sea salt.
So that has taken off too.
I gained 5 pounds hearing that.
Yeah. It's a recipe that Tammy can tell you more about if you want to talk about.
Yeah. Well, it's just been a natural progression, part of our business that has taken off. So I would just give them away for the past 20 years of him being in the military. Yeah, that that was the one thing I would always give to all of our new neighbors or our new school teachers or whichever. And so now that we have a sea salt company at our farmers markets, I like to bring a sample, and it would be chocolate chip cookies topped with our sea salt. And so our market manager told me to stop giving them away and to start charging. So last year I kicked off that part of my business and our business and sell chocolate chip cookies. So so we're sharing. Also, it's important that we both have a little bit of we both have our wheelhouses, and we both are able to express our creativity with our products. So and it's a product that we share.
So her cookie, it's got a nice label, it's a little nicely packaged. It's called the Baker and Sea Salt Maker chocolate chip cookies. So, like I said, we do collaborate a lot on pretty much everything, but we do have our own sort of like wheelhouse, and like I don't even know her recipe. She doesn't really know how to make the salt, so it's
you need each other. You need each other, right? Well, I don't know if you noticed the longing look on my face, but I was kind of sad there because I can't eat. I quit sugar at the first of this year, but man, those sound delicious. So it sounds to me like usually the way we want to end this up is just by asking like what we can do as a community to try and support you guys. And it sounds to me like you have, but I mean, as you just mentioned, the problem isn't clients. The problem is bandwidth, is being able to expand. So I would say that, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, if there's anybody watching this that thinks that you can somehow or another support this wonderful couple and maybe put them in the right direction or turn them on to somebody that you think could make a difference, that would be super helpful. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you.
Absolutely. We're always willing to listen, because we're not experts by any means when it comes to business. We've only been in this a couple of years, but like I said, every day is a school day.
Yeah. And we're definitely grateful for our community. So, and our military community and our new community. So,
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
So thank you.
No problem. Yeah. Well, Nick, you got anything else for him? Any other burning questions?
The last question I had before we let you guys get on with your busy day, what are you most excited as you think about the remainder of 2022? What are you really excited about right now as you look ahead?
Can I say that?
Sure.
Yeah. Well, this past week we have had a few discussions with some property managers and such. So that's been really exciting for us to, we've been thinking about it for so long that to actually make the step of talking about it with somebody else, and then being showed a physical space, shown the idea or the vision, how it can unfold. So that's been really exciting. It wasn't the right fit, but we know something else is out there. So, it's just now trusting the process.
Yeah. And also to add on to that is, now that we've spoken with and had conversations with this particular realtor who specializes in commercial spaces locally, we're now on their radar. Like they're, this first space we looked at, we were excited, but then we started really, maybe it's not big enough for our expansion that we want to expand. But now
in our minds, we were moving in. Yeah.
But we're excited that now that we're, I think, like I was saying before, like I think, we do need our own space, and we're on the radar of this real estate agency locally here. So hopefully, something will come. Who knows? Later this year, something will transpire. We'll have, to be continued, I guess.
So just that excitement that really kind of put a little fire under us. So So thank you. Great question.
Fantastic. And I would encourage anyone watching, by the way, be sure to check them out on Newport Sea Salt Co. on Instagram, as well as newportseasaltco.com. Great place to find their products. Matt, Tami, really appreciate you taking the time to connect today, and very excited to continue to cross paths and see your journey.
Yeah.
Well, it's been a pleasure, Nick and Barry. Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to our story.
Yeah, thank you very much for having us.
It's always great to meet really nice people, and you guys are super, super cool. But you just got a great story too, and I can't wait to watch you guys grow. I have to, when you get moved to this next level, we're going to have to do this again so we can hear the new lessons.
Well, thank you.
Yeah,
and great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Definitely always got an open door with us, guys. Guys, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that bell. With that said, Nick, thank you again, brother.
Always a pleasure, Barry.
Always a pleasure, man. And guys, I hope you all have a great week. I hope you have a great year. And if you know a veteran that has a veteran-owned businesses or a company that supports veterans, message us. We'd love to talk to them. This is Nick and I have these really outrageous goals for 2022 that we probably put our foot in, because we both are like, let's do 100 of them. And, well, how about we do 50? No, let's do 100, So
nice round number.
Great. We have a few already we can send you. So we'll definitely do that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please do. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much, Nick. Appreciate and love you, brother. And you guys all have a wonderful day.
You too, Barry, Nick. Thank you.